But today we're here to discuss the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers project partnership agreements. And what exactly are project partnership agreements? I don't like acronyms a lot. EPA is okay, but sometimes people get carried away with acronyms. So I'm going to ask you to refrain from use of acronyms for the most part so I can understand what you're saying. Sometimes people get carried away, but sometimes we get carried away. But PPAs are documents signed by the Army Corps of Engineers and non-federal project sponsors that guide work that's authorized under the Water Resources Development Act, affectionately known around here as WRDA. And these projects are critical to coastal and inland flood risk mitigation, navigation, and ecosystem restoration, among other purposes. I also say they're critical because one of the major roles of federal government and state governments as well, as I say, there's a recovering governor, but one of the major roles of government is creating a nurturing environment for job creation, job preservation. And what we're going to be talking about here today is one of those major ingredients for creating that nurturing environment. I'd like to help people. I think one of the best ways you can help folks is certainly make sure they have clean water to drink and clean air to breathe, but also to make sure that they have a job so they can support themselves and their family. As many of us know, despite the Army Corps' exceptionally important and challenging missions, the agency's funding needs far outweigh its available resources. So why does this matter? Well, the projects carried out by the Corps provide the backbone of America's water infrastructure. That work includes protecting communities from damaging floods, enabling billions in commerce through our ports and through our waterways, and restoring hundreds of thousands of acres of aquatic ecosystems. Corps projects also help prepare communities for extreme weather events, which we know are getting worse due to climate change. And the importance of that work cannot be overstated. For example, NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, estimates that the threat of sea level rise is going to accelerate in the next 30 years if we don't do more about it. That's certainly going to impact many of the roughly 40% of Americans who live in coastal counties, including my own. In addition, the 7 most destructive storms since 2000 have cost American taxpayers over $1.3 trillion. Let me say that again. I didn't read this. I didn't believe this when I first saw this. So my staff, go check that out. 7 most destructive storms since 2000 have cost American taxpayers over $1.3 trillion. These storms destroy homes and cars. They grind travel and tourism to a halt, oftentimes to uproot people's lives, not infrequently take people's lives. Corps projects are there to defend against these disasters. Corps projects also help keep our economy moving, as I was saying earlier. The Corps is directly responsible for operating America's water highway, a 12,000-mile-long system of inland waterways that are vital to domestic and international commerce. Most of the markets for the products that we create in this country are not in this country. They're outside of this country. And the way we get, for the most part, our products to other places, we send a lot of stuff by air, but mostly it's on the water, and the waterways that the Army Corps helps make available and the ports that they help enable are critically important. Each year, the expansive system, that 12,000-mile system of inland waterways, moves more than 500 million tons of commodities, 500 million tons of commodities, including 60% of our nation's agricultural exports. The Corps' work to help operate and maintain that system results in an economic benefit of nearly $14 billion, billion with a B, each year. Given the range of benefits of Corps projects, it should come as no surprise that WRDA, the reauthorization of WRDA, continues to enjoy broad bipartisan support. We do a lot of here in this room in a bipartisan way. Senator Capito and I subscribe to an aphorism that I think I heard from a guy from Wyoming that said, right there where you are, Mr. Haig, and he, as he said in his testimony, his confirmation hearing, he said, bipartisan solutions are lasting solutions. Bipartisan solutions, I believe that with every fiber of my being. But our most recent WRDA passed the Senate in 2022 by a vote of 93-1. 93 to 1. That doesn't happen every day in the Senate. It happens almost never in the Senate, but on a roll call vote at least, but 93 to 1. And that piece of legislation, that WRDA legislation 2 years ago, ended up carrying with it to the president's desk the National Defense Authorization Act, which the president signed into law. Like WRDA was a locomotive, and one of the cars that was pulling was the National Defense Authorization Act, which is a huge piece of legislation. Ranking Member Capito and I intend to continue this bipartisan track record with WRDA 2024. We're soliciting the input from literally every single senator, every state that's represented in the United States Senate. And our colleagues have been great to provide us with plenty of input. But as many of you know, the bill is currently under development, thanks in no small part to robust input from many of our colleagues. And Senator Capito and I intend to move it through our committee before next summer. That brings us to today's discussion on the Corps' project partnership agreements. Corps' project partnership agreements. And since kicking off WRDA 2024 process in July, Senator Capito and I and our staffs have heard concerns that these agreements can be stalling critical construction projects, and we need to understand what's causing these delays and what can be done about it. As I stated earlier, a project partnership agreement is a guiding document between the Corps and a local project sponsor that outlines both the federal and non-federal stakeholders' roles and responsibilities for the construction and long-term care of the project. Since 2012, the Corps has dramatically changed the project agreement process, developing templates, streamlining requirements to provide consistency and fair treatment to stakeholders. Having said that, not every Corps project is the same. Stakeholders have raised with us, probably every member of this committee, have raised with us that these agreements need to be made more flexible and that many of the requirements are cumbersome. Yet, given the importance of the Corps projects for the safety and well-being of communities, non-federal sponsors feel pressured to sign unfavorable project partnership agreements. Ultimately, it's our job in Congress to ensure that federal investments are protected. At the same time, we must also ensure that non-federal stakeholders can support the projects and are made to assume and not made to assume an unreasonable amount of risk. Having said that, we look forward to hearing from each of you. Some of you have come a long way, and we're grateful that you've done that, and we're looking to hear about your experiences in working with the Corps to develop and implement project partnership agreements. We also look forward to hearing your perspectives on what is going well and where, as well as finding what we can do better. I say almost every day, everything I do, I know I can do better. I think that's true of all of us. And the idea here is to improve on what we've done before for many years.